Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Gab, also called sign Grisly. I'm a co-founder of Task Force Aries. Today we're doing just a quick video on gear and what I run during both milsims, different events, and also just casual play. So let's not waste any time. Let's run it in, all right? So we'll start with the iPro first. First off, Gators. They're my go-to. They've been my go-to for the last season. Barely fog. Nice iPro, nice and slim as well. It works really well with the helmet as well, and I would say it's a 10 out of 10 so far. So really good iPro, strongly recommended. Now we'll go ahead and work our way down. So we'll start with the helmet. We'll go front to back. First off, we have our night vision goggles right here. So we have our Turnus housing with NVTs and a Carson lens. I've just started running them. Really nice quality. Overall, I've been zero complaints. Usually we run during night games, of course. Right on top, we have this one is a G24 mount, a Wilcox mount right here, as well as what you'll notice is a OpsCore helmet, just like so. Then moving our way back, we have a Repro OpsCore amps, as well as we have a cool Mohawk right here. And right in the back right here. We also have our little battery pack or Repro battery pack and our X-Fog. X-Fog comes in handy, especially during warmer weathers like today, as well as it just pairs well with the goggles or with the glasses. Keeps everything from not fogging at all. So usually in terms of setup, I like to keep everything just useful and simple. That's going to be my go-to, and it's going to be the go-to for a lot of things here. So in terms of helmet, it looks like a lot, but it is all useful, number one, and number two, it's the setup that I prefer. That's just how I run my helmet. As well as lastly, with the nods, it just does a nice counterbalance with the weight distribution, and doesn't make it feel too front heavy or too back heavy. Now moving on to the plate, we have right over here Cry JPC. And I also have some Faro pouches on the front. Quite simply, I have barely anything on it. Just 3 mags at the front. Most of my other mags are on my pouch, or on my belt, sorry. You'll notice that I also have, instead of the original cummerbund, I have the elastic cummerbund. It has a couple of inserts on the side. I tend to keep my radio on my left. And then at times, I'll keep a mag or two on my right. However, most of the time, I keep my right side pretty clear. Left side has my radio or an extra buddy mag. Back panel, nothing on. I like to keep it bare bones. I don't need to have anything in the back. Usually, that's what friends are for. For me, very bare bones on the plate carrier. I like I said, to run just 3 mags at the front, and usually the rest will be on my belt. Speaking of which, belt itself, I have a Bison belt. This one, again, not too many items on it. We'll start from this side going forward. So I have my Omnivore holster. Usually it holds my Glock. I've had that, I want to say, for a good 3-4 years. No complaints. No complaints at all. It's been through everything I've thrown at it. As you can see, a little scratched up, a little bit of dirt, but as to the aesthetic. Moving on to the side here, I just have a general purpose pouch. There's nothing in it right now. However, sometimes I could keep some bandages or any medical supplies if needed. But most of the time, I keep it as a general purpose pouch. Moving towards the left side, I have a dump pouch. It's rolled up right now currently. I like that type of dump pouch just to, number one, slim everything down. I hate snagging, so if I don't need it, I'll roll it up. That's usually my go-to for that. And number two, I like the look of it because ABCs always be cool. Now moving towards the left, we have, as you can see, 2 pistol pouches and 1 AR pouch, or should I say Kydex insert. I prefer the Kydex. They're just nice and solid. They don't wobble at all. They have good retention as well. These are made by a good friend of ours that are on the team. So big shout out to them, to Duncan and Joe. And as you can see, I just run 2 pistol, one AR. Again, I like to run my 2 pistols just because, number one, that's the closest access to my belt, or closest to me, should I say. And number 2, in terms of space management, I want to give enough space for both the dump pouch and the general admin pouch, or the multi-purpose pouch. So usually I'll try to push this to the front or as close to the buckle as I can in order to then have my AR mag more on my side. So that's where I like to re-index if I need to, or just grab an emergency mag from there. So in terms of belt, as you can see, there's not too much on it. It is very bare bones, but that's the essential that I need for both events or just casual play. Moving on to the fun part, the guns. We'll start with the secondary. Again, not too much, nothing fancy. We just have a Glock 17 from Tokyo Marui. In general, nothing on it. I just have a TLR1 light on it. I've had that for a good 3 years as well. The TM I've had for 2 approximately. Again, works with the holster, with the Omnivore holster, but nothing on it. I don't run an RMR. I just like it as is. Last but not least, the gun. The fun part, the main squeeze. So we have a Tokyo Marui URGI. This is an NGRS model. So if we go front to back, we start with the light and the laser. So I'm running a Holosun LE321G. So that's the green IR illuminator and laser. Usually pair it with the nods. Going to the side, I just have a replica Surefire. I believe that's the M600 replica. And it came with a pressure pad as well. Again, I just run mostly this during the night. This I can kind of use in darker rooms or even at night if needed. Pressure pad is only for the light itself. I prefer to press the button instead of having an actual switch. For me, just works better. I like the simplicity of it, having one button for the light and manually controlling the laser itself. You'll notice as well that right over here we have a hand stop. I do not run a vertical grip. I tend to run a hand stop. It just works better for me for my ergonomics, from how I hold the gun. That's my own preference. I like to pull the gun in a bit more. So for me, hand stop has been my go-to, as well as it just works well for my ergonomics for pressing buttons as well. Moving forward as well, we have a EOTech. I've used that one for maybe the beginning of the season. So far, hasn't let me down. I always preferred box optics, especially for passive shooting at night. It has been wonderful. I have no complaints whatsoever. Really good optic. I want to say a great optic, and it hasn't let me down yet. It has a really good zero. Works really well with the NVGs, and I prefer the reticle as well. I prefer, instead of having a simple dot, I like having the actual, what do you call them? Donut. The donuts. I like that. We'll call them the donuts. So I prefer the donuts itself, but it just helps with, number one, my zeroing, but as well as my point of aim, point of impact. So EOTech has been great for me. Just my go-to.
EXPS3, by the way.
Oh, it is an EXPS3. Thank you for the correction. Awesome. Last but not least, for the stock, we have a PTS EPS stock. This has, I've been running that for a few years. It just works with the NGRS in terms of, number one, battery space. Number two, because it is rear wide, I always had a preference for having my battery in the rear. And number three, I just like the look of it. Shout out to who?
Dave.
Oh yeah, and Dave did supply it, actually. So.
Airsoft.
So Commando Airsoft did supply it with me, for me, should I say. But again, I just prefer the cheek well on it. It's more comfortable for me. And again, I can rear wire the batteries there, so it has the compartments that we need. But overall, this is my kit. Again, pretty simplistic. That's the way I roll. Again, just keep it simple, guys. Thanks again for watching. Have a good day. Peace. I'm sweaty as fuck, bro.